All right. Well, good evening and welcome back to episode 26 of True Crime with the Bad Girl and the Playa. I am Benny Scala, your Playa, and with me, as always, is my partner in True Crime. She is a New England professional wrestling Hall of Famer. She is the GOAT of dog moms, and she is the almost former pen pal of Charles Manson. She is none other than the very bad co host, the one, the only Boston Bad Girl, Brittany Brown. Brittany, how are you?
I am doing okay. Trying to stay dry, as you can see, and it's pouring here. How are you doing?
Good. I mean, it got to there was one morning when I went to my typical grandma Sally's for breakfast, turn on Miss Betty, my 2023 Nissan Kicks. You know, the first thing it does is flash up the temperature, and it said 37, and it had the little blue snow icon, which I've never seen before on any of my cars down here. So that, I mean, it did
Wow.
not snow, but I I hope I never see snow down here. Although, you know what? Maybe it wouldn't be bad just to see it, as long as it didn't stick.
Yeah, one time would be pretty as long as it
Yeah.
just blew on by.
I always say there's nothing better than looking out the window and seeing a nice snowfall, but I don't want to shovel it. I don't want to drive in it. Anything like that. I mean, I'll do snow angel, I'll do a snowball fight, but yeah, no
That's it.
heavy labor. But yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing it as long as it just, I watched it and it just went away. But guys, before we
Yeah.
start the show, we gotta pay the bills. And I'm actually wearing one of I can't see it, our sponsors t-shirts. I have the B is the logo, believe it or not, for the Brooklyn Dodgers. I was born in Brooklyn in 1955. Proud to say that the only year that they ever won a World Series. So I guess that was their good luck charm. So without further ado, here is a word from us, our sponsor. Folks, if you've been injured in a car accident, please reach out to our good friend Adam Burbrower at the Burbrower Law Firm. Adam and his crew do things the right way with great results. Now, not only is Adam a great attorney, but the dude has framed pictures of Ernie the Cat Lad and the unpredictable Johnny Rods in his office. How cool is that? And if you happen to see Adam at the community pool trying to nail a triple Lindy, which is not just difficult, it's impossible. You'll notice superstar Billy Graham tattooed on his chest, and I'm sorry, on his back rather, and Bret the Hitman Hart on his chest. So this guy is not only the man of the hour, the man with the legal power, too sweet to be sour. He is also the excellence of elocution, which he has adopted that nickname, by the way. And besides being a great guy, Adam is a true crime aficionado and an avid WWF historian. So who else can get you a great settlement while breaking down the greatest matches of Silvano Souza? And check out Adam at which takes all of about 30 seconds. Check out Adam at burbarrowlaw.com and follow him on Facebook. And don't forget to tell him that the Bad Girl and the Playa sent you. So, guys, we're here to look at the legendary case of Gypsy Rose Blanchard. No relation to Tessa and Tully. Those guys are
Yeah.
Stugatz, in my opinion. This case became, I think it was summer of 2015. Bad Girl, when you first heard about this, what did you think?
You know, it was it was an isolated incident. It was like nothing I had ever heard before. And the photos that I saw of the mother and the daughter together, the mother looked completely unhinged, and the daughter just looked so bewildered and so much younger than she really was. I was just floored by the whole thing. And then when everything came out, I'm even more floored today.
Yeah, it's one of those cases. It's like it keeps on giving. It's like
Oh,
that picture of the dogs playing cards. Yeah, you could look at
yeah.
that thing 117 times, and on the 117th time, you still pick out something you haven't seen before, right?
Like, oh,
There's,
yeah.
there's just so much to it. The more you dig into it, the more you find out, and it's bizarre. I mean, that's the only word I can really think to describe it.
I agree. I agree. It's bizarre and super sad.
Yeah, tragic, really tragic. So, guys, we're not going to really regurgitate a bunch of Wikipedia caca. I think we're gonna do this, line by line. We're going to alternate reading some notes that we prepared, and then we're going to talk about them. So, Bad Girl, why don't you start up with the beginning?
Yeah, so the beginning, Dee Dee Blanchard marries 17-year-old Rod Blanchard when she was 23. Rod does the hasta la vista
Hasta la vista, baby.
before poor little Gypsy Rose was born.
Yeah, but and when I first read that, I thought, man, what a creepo that guy was. But in preparation for this thing, number one, well, I watched a couple of interviews that he participated in, and the guy is a straight up guy. I mean, the guy
Yeah.
always paid his child support. He always wanted to be involved in the daughter's life. Even though he didn't, they didn't, he didn't make it with the mom. Thank God. You talk about dodging a bullet. We might be talking about him too. Who knows, right?
No kidding. No kidding.
But yeah, he was always there for her. But the problem is, and we'll get into it, is that Dee Dee kind of cut him off from her, and we'll explain why. But so when Gypsy was 3 months old, I think that was the first time that she was taken to the hospital, and Dee Dee was claiming that she suffered from sleep apnea, and so going forward, Dee Dee claimed that Gypsy suffered from leukemia, cancer, muscular dystrophy, seizures, and the heartbreak of psoriasis. I added that last one, and she didn't really suffer from that, but it's almost like, I used to when I was a kid. I'm gonna, in the spirit of total transparency, Bad Girl, I was a hypochondriac when I was young, so
yeah.
I used to watch. My parents actually used to watch Marcus Welby, MD, with Robert Young and James Brolin, and I would inherit whatever disease, like whatever it was that week. It's leukemia one week, cancer the next week, sickle cell anemia, you name it. I caught it. I had it for that week. By the next week, then I caught the next disease. But
but at least your parents were on to you.
Well, they knew it though. I mean, my mom, because I would complain, my mom said, "You crazy? You're fine." As it turns out, 69 years old, my brother and sister both curse me because I'm so healthy. Knock on wood.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, my mother had a similar issue. It was when the encyclopedia salesman came around and talked my father into not only buying the entire encyclopedia, all the editions there, but also for an extra, I don't know, $99, you can get all the medical books too. So my mother had something every week. Every week. Every week she picked up one of those books. She had phlebitis, then diverticulitis, and then colitis. Every itis there is. And my father used to go, "Why did I get those medical books?" But this is a whole other level.
Oh, there we go. There's a picture of Dee Dee and Rod. So, and let me just. So yeah, I mean, there she is. I don't know how old she was here. She looks like she's what, maybe 5 or 6.
Yeah, I was going to say 6, 7. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So let me get rid of that.
And she's happy too. Look at her, happy being in a hospital bed.
Yeah. Yeah. God bless her. I mean, she really made the most out of a horrible situation.
Yeah.
So what do we have next?
What choice did she have though? Well, Gypsy's mother homeschooled her to isolate her from society. So there's the beginning of what is to come.
Right, and from what I understand, I listened to Dr. Phil in depth. I had the fortune of working a home show this weekend, and I had 6 hours on the road, so I got to listen to a lot of podcasts. But he really broke down, the Munchausen's by proxy syndrome, and one of the tactics, the standard tactics that the perpetrators use is isolation. So, because if she was in school every day, then she couldn't have MD and cancer and leukemia and be bedridden and, have her head shaved. So, yeah, isolation is and I believe Gypsy said, I don't think she ever even read a book until she was, I don't know how old.
Sad.
Yeah, it really is. But, so let me get back here. Got to do a little bit of. There we go.
Mm.
There's another one of them. So yeah, she was made to use a walker. So the mother shaved her head because the justification was that because of her illnesses, it was going to fall out anyway.
Mm.
Now, there's in various pictures you'll see like she has some or no teeth, and
Yep.
what I learned was that one of the many illnesses that was claimed was seizures, and so
Mm.
she was on anti-seizure medication. The problem with that is that if you don't have seizures, one of the side effects is that it rots your teeth. So this
Oh,
poor girl
lovely.
literally had her teeth rotting out of her head from taking this
That's
medication. I mean,
disgusting.
yeah, I mean, the more like the more I think of this thing, I mean, it really just it's sad. It's heartbreaking.
Yeah, it really is. It is. So Gypsy and her mother, they eventually settled in Slidell, Louisiana. Dee Dee sustained them with child support payments and assistance from Gypsy's alleged medical conditions. Dee Dee and Gypsy were on a first name basis with local ER staff. How shocking. One Dr. Robert Beckerman, allegedly treated her for a period of 10 years.
All right, so two questions. One is actually from the chat room, and Foxhole Willie wants to know, bad girl, if you cut your hair.
No, I tied it back.
Okay,
It's tied back in a ponytail
all
today
right.
because
See,
I got
people watch,
soaking wet outside.
Yeah, RJ said probably put her hair up, Foxhole. RJ, you win the award tonight. I don't know. Well, I'll think of a prize for you. But
Autograph photo.
here's my question. So they see this doctor for 10 years. How does this guy like not diagnose that this girl has none of these conditions?
Yeah,
That's my
that's
question.
alarming. That's alarming because to see someone one or two times and get it wrong, that's bad enough. But for 10 years, this is your patient and you never once suspected what was really going on here.
Yeah, I mean, what the way Dr. Phil explained it was that at some point, I guess she hoodwinked them initially, and then what she did was she kept going from doctor to doctor, and when she went to the next doctor, because she really couldn't stay with any doctor, well, except for this idiot. But
Yeah.
when she went to the next doctor, she'd say, "Well, my daughter's been diagnosed with leukemia, whatever, and she's on these medications." And then so the doctors, they're gonna give her the benefit of the doubt and say, "All right, they probably got the records from the other doctor. They see that she's, she has this diagnosis. They see these prescriptions, and for a while, it's gonna, it'll get her by, but eventually it catches up." And actually, that kind of segues into my next point is that they moved to Missouri after their residence was allegedly destroyed by Hurricane Katrina. They settled in Springfield, Missouri, very nice town, in a home built by Habitat for Humanity to accommodate all of Gypsy's disabilities. But one of the documentaries I watched said that might not have been the case. It was more that Dee Dee was trying to get out of Louisiana because like she kind of ran through the gamut of doctors, and she needed to start a new slate. New state, new city. Now you have a whole bunch of new doctors who they might have heard about her, but so she got to start all over again.
Yeah. And plus, had heard back then that she was trying to move on a regular basis further and further away so that Rod, the father, wouldn't find them.
Correct. Yes.
That's another thing. So, well, apparently, she also forged Gypsy's birth certificate so that she could continue to receive benefits. And Gypsy didn't learn her true age until she was arrested. Imagine that.
Yeah, I think when she was 23 when she was arrested, and but she thought she thought she was 19.
Yeah, I remember that. Yep, absolutely. How sad is that?
It is. Foxhole Willie saying, "I know all too well about Munchausen syndrome. My younger sister is consumed with needing to be sick. even to the point of thrusting illnesses on her daughter. She's been like this for 40 years. Yeah, there's a difference between Munchausen's and Munchausen's by proxy. The Munchausen's, you bring it upon yourself. With the proxy, you're actually putting it on someone else. And
Right.
Dr. Phil very aptly, she called Gypsy a prop. And that's exactly what she was a human prop. She was,
Absolutely.
she did and said whatever Dee Dee told her to say. She smiled. You never saw them apart in public. Always with Dee Dee pushing the wheelchair or, whatever it was, holding hands. They even had I think it was called D-Gyp or something like that. They had a joint Facebook page together, but she had no friends. She was totally, everything that she said and did was totally monitored by Dee Dee. She could do nothing. Even her computer and her phone were under the total control of her mother. Well, at least she thought. It turned out that wasn't the case, but and this poor kid, and I watched and listened to various things. Some portray her to be, a murderer. And while, yes, she did, assist in the murder, but this poor girl was it was, to me, it's almost like being in a concentration camp for the first 24 years of her life, tortured, made to shave her head, teeth rotting out, supposedly to be diagnosed with muscular dystrophy. She had to undergo some kind of muscle biopsy, and they actually remove muscle in your leg. But she said it, and I've heard it from other people, like that is absolutely torturous. And then like all this she had to undergo. So and even if she tried to go along, she was not a consenting adult. It's the same reason why if you're a man and you try to pick up a 13-year-old girl, and you say to the police, well, she invited me. Well, you know what? That doesn't matter because she's not of the age of consent. She's not old enough and mature enough to make those kind of decisions. So no matter what, like this is all, to me, this is all in the mother. But yeah, imagine 16 years old, she's on a feeding tube, which that can't be very pleasant.
Disgusting.
Right?
So poor Gypsy met Nicholas Godejohn in 2012 on a Christian singles website. There he is. Yeah. Godejohn was from Big Bend, Wisconsin. He suffered from autism, clearly. Godejohn had a prior criminal history, having been arrested in 2013 for fondling himself at a McDonald's while watching porn on his phone. Isn't that nice? Glad he wasn't parked next to me. He was charged with disorderly conduct and carrying a concealed weapon. Oh my.
If this was CSI Miami and I was Horatio Caine, I would say, well, Brittany, looks like he was trying to make his own special sauce. That when they scream, I wanted to play the scream, but I was afraid I'd get like flagged for a copyright violation. Yeah, and definitely was the concealed weapon what he was fondling, or was he? No, I think he actually had a pocket knife.
Oh, okay. I thought it was okay, all right.
But I mean, yeah, that's a keeper, right? There's your Prince Charming for real.
Yeah, I mean, oh, poor Gypsy.
Well, and again, keep in mind this girl. So I guess when she first met him, she was, I want to say 20. And he, again, he already had a police record, assault with a friendly weapon, whatever his charge was. But I mean, what compass does she have? She goes, so what happened was when Dee Dee went to bed, Gypsy would fire up the laptop, and she went on a Christian dating website. She meets this guy, but like, what barometer does she have as she's 20 chronologically, but what is she mentally and emotionally? She had
no.
she's a kid. She's like 12,
Yeah,
maybe.
6, 7, 8.
Yeah, and I mean, the only moral compass she has is Dee Dee, who's like, the biggest piece of shit on the face of the earth. So she
Mm.
meets this kid, and he, of course, now here's a boy. She wanted a boyfriend, so here's a
Yeah.
guy paying attention to her, and so no matter what he was, he's paying attention to her. That's what she wanted. So I don't blame her for being gullible. How could she not be? She had,
Yeah.
no life experience whatsoever.
0, thanks to mama.
Right. So in
Yeah.
2015, they've been, I guess, consorting online for, I think, 3 years. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, Foxhole Willie saying, I'm curious as what the mother's childhood was like. I had no idea, but I mean, I heard that she even had Dee Dee, I think she had tried to poison her father. So not a good track record. But um, in 2015, Gypsy paid for Godejohn. This is after they've been flirting back and forth, and it got pretty heavy duty. It got pretty kinky actually, and apparently Godejohn was into what uh, bondage, BDSM. I know it's abuse,
BSM,
bondage.
yeah.
Yeah, and so he had an alter ego named Victor.
Ooh.
That was his, that was his devil, I guess, inside of him. But so they actually arranged to meet at a movie theater, and somehow she had to go to the bathroom, and I guess she was able to wheel herself to the bathroom, and he went to go get some popcorn, which he probably buttered himself, right?
Yeah.
Be my guess. And somehow they have sex in the bathroom. Imagine that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So that was well planned out. I think that was well planned out ahead of time. Even the timing of it, and as soon as you see me wheel away, wait about 45 seconds, and then go get some hot buttered popcorn,
Right.
baby.
Yeah. There you go.
Be in the bathroom.
Yeah.
Uh,
Foxhole saying that attention is a temporary form of attachment. Yeah. When you've never ever had anybody pay attention to you and make you feel special, except for your mother. I mean, aren't you gonna, like, the very first person that starts saying, "Oh, you're beautiful. I love you. You're so sweet. I want to be with you." I mean, how are you not gonna fall for that?
I know,
I,
and especially if she starts telling how bad her life is and how mean her mother is to her, and saying, I remember reading that she said, Gypsy's never going to be happy. Gypsy's never going to date. Gypsy's never going to get married or have a child or have a job. So she's being told this day in and day out. And here comes this guy, and he's willing to defend her and say that the mother's wrong. And well, we'll take care of your mother. You want me to say something to the mother? So upon his return back to Wisconsin after the meeting in the restroom, the two began to develop a plan to murder Dee Dee. And my guess is that's how it probably all started. I'm sure she told him what was going on, and I do believe there were several instances where she got caught on the computer at night, and the computer was taken away from her, and she was chained to the bed, handcuffed and chained to the bed.
she
So,
was apparently the mother took a hammer to her laptop, and then
oh,
she was supposedly locked in an outside storage shed. The mother put a bed in there, and she'd
oh
have to
my
spend a
God.
week in there. Yeah, it
Oh,
was.
I didn't even
I'm
know it
telling
got
you
that
that.
bad.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like, the more I delved into this, it's like, holy shit, this woman was like pure evil. On June
Yeah,
10th, 2015, Godejohn comes back to Springfield. Gypsy pays for the trip. So, I mean, she wasn't innocent, but then again, like, to me, again, you try to put yourself in the person's shoes. Imagine having a life like that with, in your mind, up till then, no way out. And
right.
somebody is offering you a, a way out. And
A
you know,
way
a lot
out.
of people, armchair quarterbacks are saying, "Well, she should have went to the police." Well, maybe she should have, right? But unless we're in that situation, it's really hard to say like what we would have done. Apparently, she was so terrified of the mother and so much under the mother's control that that wasn't an option for her. That I mean, would that have been a good option? Hell yeah. But in her mind, she didn't, she didn't think about it that way. And I really can't
Right.
say I blame her.
Yeah. I mean, and again, you're talking the age that her mind was stunted at. Is that age going to know to tell anybody other than who she's corresponding with on the computer?
Right. Right.
You know?
Exactly. So, Dee Dee goes to bed. Gypsy lets him in and gives him a knife that she actually stole at Walmart, some duct tape and some gloves. And she hid in the bathroom while Nicholas stabbed Dee Dee 17 times, resulting in her death. I mean, that could have been, uh, as bad as that is. I mean, I would say even from Gypsy's perspective, I think there was relief, but it was still her
Yeah.
mother. And hearing the mother scream, I guess while the mother was screaming, she's calling for her.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I mean that couldn't have made Gypsy feel much better. But I think obviously she gave it a lot of thought. I mean, to her, it was her only way out. I don't, and you know, unfortunately, if she had hooked up with a different, we'll get into her current fiance in a bit, but if she had met up with a guy like that on that Christian website, this outcome wouldn't have happened. I think there'd be a
Right.
totally different outcome. I don't think Dee Dee would have gotten killed. I think
No,
she'd be behind bars.
definitely. I agree. A troubled person is unfortunately what she found, a very troubled person. Um, and
Well, she
yeah,
found somebody worse than her, or as bad as her.
yeah, yeah, definitely. And at this kind of makes me wonder. After the murder, the couple had sex in Dee Dee's room and fled with around $4,400. They mailed the murder weapon to Godejohn's home in Wisconsin, and they eventually made their way to his home in Wisconsin as well. Now, I'm not sure whether they got there first or the gun got there first, but
Yeah,
yeah,
actually,
that was their plan.
it was a knife actually, but I mean, what? Imagine like
Oh, it was a
putting a
knife.
bloody. I don't know. I mean, I wonder if they cleaned it off.
That's right. It was a knife.
But yeah,
Oh
I wonder if they
God.
washed it first. But like that's a good point though, bad girl. Why a knife? Why not? Why not find a drug and inject her with it? At least be a little bit humane, or even I mean a gun, because at least a couple of shots. You're stabbing somebody 17 times. That's a pretty horrific death.
Well, I'm thinking the two people that planned this did not have any other choices. That was all that Gypsy Rose could get her hands on. And, neither of them had any way to know what medication would kill someone or how to inject it, and they probably had no way to get a gun either.
Yeah,
I know Gypsy didn't, but I can't imagine somebody like Nicholas ever being legally allowed to have a gun.
that's the proverbial keyboard warrior living in his parents' basement playing video games
Yeah.
and watching porn, of course, as
Yes,
he's
on the
already
phone at
yeah
McDonald's.
eating Cheetos.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, now so some strange Facebook posts originated on. Let me see, I might have those.
Yep.
Yeah, that's one of them. And so that was their combined Facebook account, and so after that, some friends alerted police, and they obtain a warrant. They enter the house, find Dee Dee dead, and find Gypsy missing. They find a wheelchair still at the house, and they find all her medications there. So, like, the initial
Mm,
reaction was that this poor girl got kidnapped. Somebody killed her
right.
mother. She got kidnapped, and she's not gonna last too long without her medications.
Exactly. Exactly. And the IP address from the Facebook post that we're showing you was traced back to Godejohn's home in Wisconsin. Oh, they look like twins.
Right.
Blanchard and Godejohn were apprehended and charged with murder and felony armed criminal action.
Like the prosecutor said, my cousin Vinny, identical. Yeah, like they must have got a BOGO on that haircut, right?
I know, right?
So sad though. So yeah, they were they gave up without a fight. I mean, I guess it was fairly easy to track the IP address, go right to the
Yeah.
house. You know, the murder weapon is there. It's pretty much, you know, and um now I'm not sure when all of this unraveled where like I believe that I know at the police station, you know, Gypsy's walking around. Like, I mean, she could have ran laps.
Yeah.
And you know, the part that I guess I'm missing here is that when this got back to Springfield and to Louisiana, because I mean, these people were very well known. They were almost like public figures.
Right.
Gypsy was a I don't know about a host or whatever she was at the Special Olympics. They made a lot of appearances, you know, for various charities. They were subsidized by a lot of charities. And
Yeah.
you know, now all of a sudden, hey, you know, this girl's a fake. She can walk. She can, you know. But I watched the confession, and she lied through her teeth. I'm not sure if she was scared or this is how they rehearsed it when she first when the police met with her.
Yeah. I think it was a little of both. It looked
Yeah,
like, at least.
yeah, and then you know she started when they said your mother is dead. You know, she did the fake cry, the crocodile tears,
Yeah. The
and
what?
right. But I mean, the cop didn't let up on her, and she said, "Okay, now I'm going to tell you the whole truth." But she really didn't tell the whole truth. She just said she was there, and she made it sound like it was all his doing.
Yeah.
Um, you know, that she didn't have anything to do with it. She didn't know he was going to do it. Oh, you know, she didn't let him in the house. All of which are lies.
Right.
But I mean, that didn't last too long. You know, and she did plead guilty to second degree murder and was sentenced to 10 years in prison. She served 8 years. She was actually released last December 28th, 2023. So it's going on a year now.
Yep. And
Getting
Nicholas was sentenced to life without the possibility of parole.
and I think they got that right. You know, my first when I first before I really knew, I thought he got the stiff sentence,
Mhm.
but and that he was more of a victim. But you know, as I learned more and more, it's like, you know, this girl was very naive, very vulnerable. You know, anybody could have told her to do anything, and she would have done it. And this kid definitely had a really dark side. You know,
Definitely.
he's got an evil personality named Victor, and in their text exchanges, he didn't even use his. He said, "Yeah, Victor will do this, and Victor will do that." And
Mm,
oh, and there's
that's
my good friend.
scary.
Hi, Katie. Hello. To that doctor now. Hello. How you all doing? Yeah. It was just yeah. I really did a 360. The more I learned about him, and the more I learned about her, that yeah, she did she facilitated it, and she financed it, but he's the one that did it.
Yeah. I wonder how she was able, there's two ways to look at this. So we're saying that her mental growth was stunted at a very young age. So then how was she able to facilitate a murder? And how was she also able to pay for it several states away? How was she able to get the money to him if she was, wheelchair bound?
She must. The only thing I could think of is she had access maybe to one of Dee Dee's cards. But you would think that Dee Dee would be onto her unless it happened that quick before Dee Dee could find out.
Yeah, it's awfully strange. It's
Yeah, my
awfully
friend Katie said
strange.
she was in a horrible situation. grasping at straws for help. And I agree. And,
Yeah.
Boxall saying, I'm not attempting to excuse the evil acts. I'm trying to understand what drives this behavior in the first place. I mean,
Yeah.
I think we kind of said that, though. I mean, this, in my mind, this girl probably thought there was really no way out. She was doomed. This was going to be her life for the rest of her life. Now she literally meets her Prince Charming, and I guess he offers her an alternative. And I mean, it wasn't a great alternative, but I guess it was better than. I can't even imagine being, having to pretend like I'm crippled. I have cancer. I have leukemia. I have to wear a wig because my mother keeps shaving my head. Even at the age of like 23, her mother was shaving her head.
Sickening.
Yeah,
Sickening.
and yeah, I mean, I said she was in prison for 8.5 years. I'm going to make the statement that she was really in prison for the first 32.5 years of her life, and the
Yeah, I
first
agree.
24 was a hell of a lot worse than the 8.5 she spent in an actual prison.
I agree.
I mean,
agree. And
that had to be a cakewalk in prison.
yeah, I totally agree. Um, I do believe I saw a couple of interviews where she said, I don't know if I still would have been alive 8 more years with what my mother was doing to me.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
you gotta. I mean, she was on a whole cocktail. I mean, when they,
yeah,
I guess the stepmother, her name is Christy, and the father
Christy.
Rod. Um, Eventually, they made their way to the house, and they opened one of the closets, and there was literally. I mean, it could have stocked a Walgreens
Oh,
of
absolutely. I saw the
drugs that they
pictures.
found, and not only that, they found a prescription pad. How the hell did she get that?
Stolen from a doctor's office.
Right. Like you're not getting enough drugs already. You got to supplement it
I
with
know.
even more.
I know.
But the
Crazy.
other thing that they found out that Dee Dee was telling people that she and Rod had another child who died at death or at birth rather. Died at
Mhm.
death. Died at birth. That was a good one. But it was actually Rod and the stepmom's child, and she was making
Christy.
this up
Oh,
about this poor kid, and she was saying it was her child. I mean, this
well,
is
that's
like
kind
the
of sick.
depths that this woman went to.
Ugh.
Just
God.
no,
If I
no.
was Christy, if I was the stepmother, I would have always been looking behind my back because that woman was crazy. Now, clearly, they did not know how crazy and how diabolical, but they knew she was crazy. They knew she was hiding that kid for a reason. I think they both have admitted that they questioned a lot of the things Dee Dee told them about Gypsy. So
Yes.
I think the further she kept Gypsy away from everyone, the less questions she was going to have to
Well,
answer.
and again, we talked about that earlier. The whole isolation thing.
Yeah,
The more you isolate, the less people know about what's going on in your home, and that's exactly what she wanted. She didn't want to know.
yeah,
She didn't want everybody to know what. I wonder if Gypsy would walk around in her bedroom when Dee Dee went to bed at night. I mean,
I know. Probably. I doubt she wheeled herself to the bathroom. She probably just got out of bed and walked to the bathroom.
absolutely.
Yeah.
But now, this story has a somewhat happy ending. We started talking about this before the show started. That she married Louisiana teacher Ryan Anderson in a prison ceremony in July of 2022. And now they are in the process of getting divorced. She had met a gentleman named Ken Erker. Oh gosh, maybe in about 2020. And he actually broke it up with her. He broke it off because he said that she needed to find out who she was. I mean,
Mhm.
and when she was first in jail, I mean, she didn't even know how old she was,
I
let alone
know.
who she was. And so, like, he thought it might be better if she, went through, life a little bit and found out a little bit more about herself, and then they rekindled a relationship. I guess sometime in 2023. So I listened to an interview, and in fact, let me go for Mr. Wonderful here. I mean, that's
There he
hard to believe
is.
that's the same person, right?
I know. Well, the stepmother had quite a bit to do with getting them back together,
Oh, really? Okay. That
Oh
I
yeah,
did not know. Yeah, tell me about that.
she kept in touch with Ken the whole entire time after they broke up. And when Gypsy married Ryan, the teacher, um, Christy in private told Gypsy, I talked to Ken the other day on the phone and he wants to talk to you. She broke down crying. Gypsy did. And she looked at her stepmother and she said, Christy, I loved him so much. And things were not going well with her and the teacher at the
No,
time. She was
no,
over her parents staying for the weekend, doing a girls' weekend with her half sister and her stepmother. And she confessed to Christy that, her true love was really Ken. And,
right.
once she called him, that was it. She dumped the teacher who I really did feel bad for.
Yeah,
Um,
I think he put his whole heart into it, and I think he really loved her. The problem is, again, she's still, I mean, what does she know about love? I mean, she literally, she had sex in the bathroom before she even got her first kiss.
I know.
And then I mean, all she knew is this Godejohn guy, and then she's connecting with people in prison.
Yeah.
Very,
And then
very, very
she
naive
gets
in the
out
ways
of
of the world.
yeah. And she gets out of prison and this guy picks her up with a Bret Hart license plate up front on the front of his Cadillac. He picks her up, brings her home, and they're making house together, and she's not happy. She
Right,
felt like she even said to him on the TV show they did, the reality show, she said, I feel like I'm in prison again. I have no car, I have no job, I have no money. You're at work all day. I'm just sitting here cleaning the house. How much cleaning can you do?
right. Yeah, I
You
mean,
know?
now on Sunday, I guess I listened to this 1 hour 40 minute interview of these two, and I don't remember the name of the couple or the name of even the name of the podcast that I listened to, but it was phenomenal. And they both really impressed me. Number one, they really sound like a very happy couple. Now I'm sure they have issues. How could they not, right? But she said
Right.
that she's in therapy, and she'll probably be in therapy the rest of her life, I imagine, after
I
going through
hope
what she
so.
went through. How could she not? But
I know.
they're also in couples therapy, and they are I guess they're going through parental counseling as well. So she's really putting the work in, and she's making the effort to try to become a normal, productive member of society.
Yeah. Yeah. There are several people that agree with that, and there is a whole other team of people that are saying the exact opposite. They're saying she's taking advantage of the limelight, of the social media, of the reality shows, doing the round of interviews, being a cash cow. A lot of people are saying Ken is using her just for the money and the fame, if that's what you want to call it. And then there are a whole bunch of people that are saying what you just said is, she's putting the work in, she's doing what she should, and, poor her for what happened. She was a victim. So there's two whole sets of people that feel completely
Yeah,
different.
yeah, no, absolutely agree. It is a very, very polarizing case because there is, like, I am wholly in camp Gypsy. I really like listening to this interview. I mean, I feel so sorry for the girl. We were talking
I know.
before the show, and about the interview, and they said, like, what are some of the things you've done together? And he spoke up and he said, I took her to Taco Bell for the first time in her life. Now, I mean, not that Taco Bell's the greatest, and bad girl, you've never been to one, right?
Never.
Never been. You're much better off for it. I mean, I haven't been to one in years, but like that was an experience. She's 33 years old and had never been to Taco Bell. There's a lot of restrictions right now on what they can do together. I think because of her, they both live in Louisiana, but they live an hour apart. And I believe she can only stay with him 2 days a week until her parole is over. So, their child is going to be born in January. I think the name of the child is going to be Aurora. It's a girl. And so there's going to be a lot of co-parenting issues the first maybe 5 or 6 months.
Yeah, and they've already been through the ringer. She had to go and get a paternity test already, or the law states that Ryan, her now, I believe as of today, I think it's an ex-husband.
Yeah, I think it's an ex-husband now. Yeah.
I think I saw that today that it's all final. But his name, if she hadn't had gone and got the paternity test while she was pregnant, then he would have been listed as the father on the birth certificate. So that's why she opted to have that test done while she was pregnant, because she didn't want that to happen to Ken.
Right.
Or to the baby, to have, an altered birth certificate when she knew that her ex-husband is absolutely not the father. But Louisiana law says if you are still married when you have the baby, then, his name is going to go on it.
Right. Correct.
So she went and did that, and I don't blame her. I would have done the same thing if that was me.
Yeah, and and getting back to the whole, people are saying she's basking in the limelight, and I don't know. I mean, isn't she kind of entitled to that after all she's gone through?
She's the poor thing has gone through so much. I don't think I truly do believe her when she says I didn't expect to be famous, if that's what you want to call what I am, but I never expected this. She said, I guess this was a lot bigger outside of prison than it was when I was in, and I didn't know it. That's what she said.
Well, and that we live in a society, we are a society that, we jump on sensationalism. I was talking to Mike Bonney earlier today, and I've written 34 stories for Pro Wrestling Stories, and my number one, and it's by far most read story, it's been read over 200,000 times, is a story I wrote about Katie Vick. And that's kind of that's like National Enquirer's kind of stuff. It's you know what I mean? It's garbage. I mean, I've written some really good stories about, really legendary wrestling figures, and I might get 1/10 of that, but because, people they like that stuff.
Yeah.
That's
I do feel bad for her. I am glad that she's living a somewhat normal life. It's sad that it didn't happen until she's in her 30s. Shame on Dee Dee. That's all I can say. Shame on Dee Dee.
My buddy Katie here is saying that I would have taken it a different direction, trying to get away. Yeah, I mean that would be another reaction too. Some people would want to, be as anonymous and get off the grid as much as possible. I mean, I could see either way, but I mean, you've led a 34-year-old, 33-year-old life where nobody. I mean, your only source of attention is a very demented, deranged, and sick mother who is literally using you as a prop and a cash cow. I mean, that was Dee Dee. Gypsy was her means of support. She got child support from Rod, and then she got all kinds of money from everybody because of all the perceived maladies.
Every charity. I heard there were even some country music stars that gave something like $100,000 to her. I think it was Miranda Lambert. That's what I heard.
Yeah.
that she was so moved by meeting them that she actually wrote them a check for like some ungodly amount of money.
Well,
Crazy.
yeah. I mean, if somebody said to me, I'll give you $1 million, but for the first 24 years of your life, actually for 32 years of your life, for the first 24, your mother's going to torture you and make you be a cripple and put you on all kinds of medication that's going to cause all kinds of side effects. You're going to feel like crap. Your teeth are going to rot out. You're going to be in pain. You're going to be, you're a prop. You can't do anything or say anything on your own. And then for 8 years, you're going to be in a real prison, but at the end, you'll get $1 million. It's like, I'll pass.
Yeah, I'll pass too.
I'll pass. I'd rather be,
Yep.
a very, middle class, guy and not have to go
Yeah.
through any of that stuff.
Yeah. Well, her book comes out tomorrow. So
Oh,
hopefully she
really?
makes,
Okay. Oh, I didn't know
yeah,
that.
hopefully she makes 10 million off of that.
Well, that'll get her some money. I mean, they've already done movies about her, right?
Oh yeah. And she's
Done movies
doing
about. She's done the
autograph.
Kardashians. I know she's done. I think, and you said she had her own reality show. I didn't even. I don't watch reality. I really don't watch
Oh
TV
yeah.
other
I
than
watched
wrestling.
I watched the whole series of the reality show. I had very mixed feelings about it. Very mixed feelings. I felt a few times I felt like that stepmother was very manipulative. I think she should have stayed out of things, and I think she stepped in a few times when she shouldn't have. And part of me felt like Rod didn't do as much as he should have to find them, and he just accepted what he was told
Yeah,
from Dee Dee,
he
and
was a laid back guy.
very, very. But I think he just put up with so much BS from Dee Dee that he was just like, all right, whatever. I think he had just had it. And you got to remember, he was 17 years old when she got pregnant.
Right. Yeah. What did he know? He was a kid himself.
I know. I
But
know. But I had some very mixed feelings on them. And I even had some mixed feelings on, I didn't really care for Ryan at the beginning. I hated Ken at the beginning. I felt he was completely using her for money and for, fame. There was also rumors that he was gay, Ken. There was many people that came forward that said he was on Grinder, and there were 3 or 4 guys that came forward and said they met up with him and had sex with him, and that he's absolutely using her, and that he is gay. So who knows?
yeah,
Who knows?
and I mean, all of it's really hearsay.
All of it.
Yeah, I guess the proof's going to be in the pudding. Let's see, to see what happens. I mean, they're going to have a child together, and I mean, I hope for this. You really want this child to have a better life than Gypsy had.
Oh my God.
Which, I
Oh my
mean,
God.
almost anything would be better.
Anything would be better. Yeah, anything would be better. It's so sad. And I just hope they can live a happy and, out of the headlines life, because after everything she's been through, she certainly deserves to have a normal life.
Well, that leads to my last question. And now look at her now. She got a nose job.
She did.
She looks really, I think she looks really nice, with the new nose,
With the new nose, yes.
the makeup and everything. You look at her. I mean, when you think about what, this toothless kid who was 15 and looked like she was 5, I mean, she's really come a long way. So, like I said, I have had a gamut of emotions about this case and this girl. And, I mean, it all could be a scam. And maybe I'm naive. Maybe the two of them, maybe they're both scamming us. But I listened to them for an hour and 40 minutes. They said all the right things, and of course that doesn't mean anything. I mean, I'm a wrestling fan, and you're a Hall of Fame wrestler. I mean, that people can say things, and it's a work, right?
It's a work. I just hope this one isn't, because
I hope this is a shoot. I really do.
Yeah, if there are some people that say that they know her very well, including one that was her cellmate in prison, that said she absolutely is doing this for all the money and all the fame, and that she planned this from the beginning. She planned on using Ryan just to get stable out of prison and then get back together with Ken and do a reality show, do a book, do everything. So I don't know. I don't know. It sounded like a work to me, but then there are some interviews that I watch and I go, this poor girl, but then she gets the nose job, she gets the veneers. Somebody, I think I read that she might have even got a boob job. She had a little bit of fillers and things done. I don't know. Is that okay? I guess,
Uh,
right?
to me,
If
like,
you don't like your looks and you have the money and you've never been able to do anything your whole life, why not?
right, and maybe I'll turn out to be a sucker here, but like my take is that if you had to endure what this girl had to go through for 24
Yeah,
years, to me, she's got a free pass. I mean, I do not condone, the death of her mother or how it was done or her role in it, but I mean, you do have to look at the circumstances. And quite honestly, like we talked about, before the show, if she had met a different guy and they went to the police, I mean, this lady would be serving a life behind bars. And
I
who
would
knows
hope so.
meaning Dee Dee, and who knows what would have happened to her in jail? Maybe she
Exactly.
might have met the same fate, because that's
Yeah, I wouldn't be
there's some
surprised.
prison morality going on, and knowing what she did to this child, I don't think would be looked upon very kindly by the rest of
I
her
agree.
prison population there.
I agree. I agree.
So, Bad Girl, final thought: do they live happily ever after? What's your
You
prediction?
know, I hope so. I really do hope so. I hope he is not using her for the money and the fame, like so many people say. I pray that she is happy and stays that way for the rest of her life. And I hope I don't see them in the headlines having problems.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a cynic by nature, but I mean, I'm also, I'm a dreamer. Like, I'm a romantic. I want this to work. I want them to live the American dream, have kids, be happy. Her experience, the next 32 years of her life, to experience all the happiness that she missed the first 32 years. She said that they went to the Golden Gate Bridge. Her travel is very restricted. I think her parole ends next June, and then she can
Okay.
pretty much do what she wants, including they can live together. So I mean, we will see. Now, if they don't get married, I mean, I don't see why they shouldn't get married. I mean, the way they talk, they're lovey-dovey. They want to spend the rest of their life together. I get that there's mitigating circumstances right now. The other divorce was in the way, but if a year goes by and they're still like fiance, then I am going to start maybe questioning. Well, what gives here? Why didn't they make a
Yeah.
commitment?
Yeah,
But
I agree.
one of the good things about these stories that we do is that they're ongoing. Like we did Sarah Boone. We did the Karen Reed case. There's always going to be more about them. They never really end.
I know.
And so
I
even though
know.
like we're covering the case, it ain't over. Karen Reed ain't over. The Sarah Boone's
Oh,
not over. I mean, next week we're doing
definitely
John Benet
not.
Ramsey, and I mean that happened what 32 years, 33 years ago. That's not over,
My God, I know. That's next week.
right?
Where our good friend Dave is going to join us.
Yes, Dangerous Dave
Dave
coming back, making a comeback, doing a run in.
making a comeback. The
Yeah,
superstar from New England making a comeback.
we love Dave. Dave's got some great takes. Has a very good perspective on things, and always adds value whenever he appears on the show. He's got a very hectic work schedule, and that's why he's not always here. But Dave is welcome anytime.
Absolutely.
All right, Bad Girl, we're going to wrap this one up. So once again, thanks to everyone in the chat room, as well as the millions and
And
millions
millions.
of true crime fans around the world. We have many cases coming up. Like we said, John Benet Ramsey next week. So just to make sure that you get notifications, please subscribe to the Monty and the Pharaoh YouTube channel. You won't miss any notification then. Please don't forget to join yours truly and Dan Sebastiano this Thursday instead of Tuesday. Our guest will be Scott Putski, former WWF and WCW wrestler and son of the great Polish hammer Ivan Putski, who was actually our, I believe, second guest on Dan and Benny in the Ring, or one of our first guests. So, for the bad girl, this is the Playa telling everyone to stay safe and see you next crime. Good night, all.